Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the study of antiquity and the Middle Ages. As always, I am your host, Nick Barksdale, and today I'm bringing you a very special episode that is brought to you by none other than Ancient Origins. Ancient Origins specializes in reconstructing the story of humanity's past. And honestly, for those of you who love anything ancient, mysterious, and the unexplained, it's the best resource online for you, providing a variety of content. But more importantly, it's helping us understand the subjects that we all love. From the fringe to the mainstream, you get the best of everything. But if you want access to even greater content, I highly suggest you becoming a premium member to Ancient Origins. And for those of you who may ask, okay, why? I have an answer for you. One, it is a treasure trove of information. It gives you even more access to the subjects that you love. From ebooks, webinars, expeditions, even more articles, but in some cases, you get to talk to the experts themselves. And by being a subscriber to Ancient Origins, you are continuing to help them make history matter. Ancient Origins literally has something for everyone. So, before we get to the presentation, check out the links in the video description below. I'm going to provide you with a variety of references to Ancient Origins from their Facebook page and other social media outlets to the very heart of the Ancient Origins website itself to help people like me and you better understand the subjects of history, mystery, and the unexplained that we all love. I'm bringing you a very special episode. This episode being titled, DNA Shows Biblical Philistines Came from Europe. New research on Philistine DNA reveals that the biblical enemies of the Israelites were newcomers to the region in the 12th century BCE. But now you may ask, where did they come from? Thanks to modern science and ancient DNA studies, we may now finally have the answer. Their genes actually suggest Southern Europe. An international team led by scientists from Max Planck Institute for the Science of Human History and the Leon Levy Expedition retrieved and analyzed for the first time genome-wide data from people who lived during the Bronze and Iron Age, two time periods over 3,600 and 2,800 years ago in the ancient port of Ashkelon, one of the core Philistine cities during the Iron Age. The team found that a European-derived ancestry was introduced in Ashkelon around the time of the Philistines' estimated arrival, suggesting that ancestors of the Philistines migrated across the Mediterranean, reaching Ashkelon at least by the early Iron Age. This European-related genetic component was subsequently diluted by the local Levantine gene pool over the following centuries, suggesting intensive admixture between local and foreign populations. These genetic results published in Science Advances are a critical step toward understanding the long-disputed origins of the Philistines. And so, for those of you who don't know, you may ask yourselves, who were the Philistines? The Philistines are famous for their appearance in the Hebrew Bible, otherwise known to many of you as the Old Testament, and they are portrayed as the arch enemies of the Israelites. However, the ancient texts tell little about the Philistine origins, other than a later memory that the Philistines came from Kaftor, which is a Bronze Age name for Crete. This is actually found in the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 7. More than a century ago, Egyptologists proposed that a group called the Peliset in texts of the late 12th century BC were the same as the biblical Philistines. The Egyptians claimed that the Peliset traveled from the islands, attacking what is today Cyprus and the Turkish and Syrian coasts, and finally attempted to invade Egypt. These hieroglyphic inscriptions were the first indication that the search for the origins of the Philistines should be focused in the late 2nd millennium BC. From 1985 through 2016, the Leon Levy Expedition to Ashkelon, a project of the Harvard Semitic Museum, took up the search for the origin of the Philistines at Ashkelon, one of the 5 Philistine cities according to the Hebrew Bible, led by its founder, the late Lawrence E. Stager, and then by Daniel M. Master, an author of the study and director of the Leon Levy Expedition to Ashkelon. The team found substantial changes in ways of life during the 12th century BC, which they connected to the arrival of the Philistines. Many scholars, however, argued that these cultural changes were merely the result of trade or a local imitation of foreign styles, and not the result of a substantial movement of people. This new study represents the culmination of over 30 years of archaeological work and genetic research, utilizing state-of-the-art technology, which led them to conclude that the advent of the Philistines in the southern Levant involved a movement of people from the west during the Bronze to Iron Age transition. The researchers successfully recovered genomic data from the remains of 10 individuals who lived at Ashkelon during the Bronze and Iron Age. This data allowed the team to compare the DNA of the Bronze and Iron Age peoples living in Ashkelon to determine how they were related, if related at all. The researchers found that the individuals across all time periods derived most of their ancestry from the local Levantine gene pool, but that individuals who lived in the early Iron Age had a European-derived ancestral component that was not present in their Bronze Age predecessors. To quote Dr. Michael Feldman, who is the leading author of the study, this genetic distinction is due to European-related gene flow introduced in Ashkelon during either the end of the Bronze Age or the beginning of the Iron Age. This timing is in accord with estimates of the Philistines' arrival to the coast of the Levant based on archaeological and textual records. Dr. Feldman went on to say, while our modeling suggests a southern European gene pool as a plausible source, future sampling could identify more precisely the populations introducing the European-related component to Ashkelon. In analyzing later Iron Age individuals from Ashkelon, the researchers found that the European-related component could no longer be traced. To quote Dr. Zhang of the Max Planck Institute, who is also one of the corresponding authors of the study, he stated, within no more than 2 centuries, this genetic footprint introduced during the early Iron Age is no longer detectable and seems to be diluted by a local Levantine-related gene pool. Dr. Zhang goes on to say, while according to ancient texts, the people of Ashkelon in the 1st millennium BCE remained Philistines to their neighbors, the distinctiveness of their genetic makeup was no longer clear, perhaps due to intermarriage with Levantine groups around them. Dr. Krauss, a senior author of the study, also stated, this data begins to fill a temporal gap in the genetic map of the southern Levant. At the same time, by the zoomed-in comparative analysis of the Ashkelon genetic time transect, we find that the unique cultural features in the early Iron Age are mirrored by a distinct genetic composition of the early Iron Age people. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today at the Study of Antiquity and the Middle Ages. Don't forget to check out the links in the video description below. It'll take you to the original article, and more importantly, it will take you to the website of Ancient Origins. Definitely check out their work, subscribe to their mailing list, and of course, always consider becoming a premium member. Thank you all so much, and have a great night.